Hi, welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm Stephanie, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I'm going to, before it gets any farther into March, I'm going to do a reading wrap-up for January and February. And I'm going to start actually with the books that I reread. Normally when I'm rereading a book nowadays, it's because I'm reading it to my brother. My brother is about 10 years younger than me, but old, almost out of high school. And we have a really special bond over me being his live audiobook. Lately, he's been on a Brandon Sanderson kick where he would only read Brandon Sanderson / have me read him Brandon Sanderson. But lately, he's started letting me read some of my other favorite books to him, and he's really enjoying them. Yay! So, I'm going to start with those. The first book that I finished of this year was a reread of Oathbringer. And yes, I'm already on a point where I'm rereading Oathbringer. I read it when it was released, and then I turned right back around and read this to my brother, and my brother loves this book. I love this book too, but my brother loves this book especially because from book 1 of the Stormlight Archives, Dalinar has been his favorite character, and this is Dalinar's book, contrary to Yasna on the cover. So this is wonderful. I love this book. If you haven't read Brandon Sanderson yet, this is the third book in the Stormlight Archive. Epic fantasy, just brilliant. If you haven't read Brandon Sanderson yet, I usually recommend starting with Mistborn, probably because that's what I did, but it worked for me. And I will have a Brandon Sanderson video later, I'm sure. The next book that I read to my brother was the first book that when I was reading it, he was like, maybe I'll let you read that book to me, even though it's not Brandon Sanderson, because the cover is awesome and it has a high concept. And that would be Scythe. And yes, it is amazing, and he loved it. And it was really helpful for me too, because I reread it just in time for the release of Thunderhead, which I will talk about later. And Scythe is a world where death has been defeated. You know, if you die, they can just bring you back. There's an AI who runs the world. He's benevolent, or it's benevolent. Its name is the Thunderhead. But the Thunderhead does not have power over the life and death of humans. There still needs to be death in the world, even though death has been cured. And so Scythes are humans who are basically assassins, but they're like the population control assassins, and there may be a little corruption in the Scythe world, and there's some apprentices who are going to learn how to become Scythes, and I don't know how much to say without giving things away. You just kind of have to go into it knowing that it's a fun, I don't know, I love the philosophy of this world. I need to figure out how to do quick reviews more quickly. Anyway, this is a book that makes you think while also making you turn pages and love characters and want to know what happens next. So, if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend it. And so does my brother. The next one I read to him is The Thief and the Queen of Italia and the King of Italia. The Queen's Thief series is one of my all-time favorite books or series, one of my all-time favorite series. I actually discovered the Queen's Thief series in junior high maybe, and I'm pretty sure I read The Thief and was like, that had an awesome ending. It was interesting. Okay. Didn't really think about it, didn't press into it again. And then I read The Queen of Italia. Granted, at that time it had a different cover, and now it has another different cover, but anyway. I read The Queen of Italia, and I thought this is one of the most epic books that has ever been written. I loved it so much. And then I found out that there was a sequel, and then I found out that this was actually a sequel to a book I'd already read, and so I read the whole thing over again, and anyway, it's wonderful. It is a story that the author was inspired, Megan Whalen Turner, she was inspired after a trip to Greece, and so it has a very Greco-Roman, with hints of Persian, feel. And in one of her author notes, she says she kind of pictures it more Byzantine era, because there are guns and glass windows and things like that, but it has a very Greek feel. There's a lot of mythology. When I asked my brother what made him love this series so much, he said, Eugenides, 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 with a bonus of Costus. is a pretty good sum. The main character is just amazing. He's sassy and clever and smart. And also, it's a third person omniscient. It's not a very reliable narrator. There are a lot of twists and turns. You just kind of need to go into it. He's a thief, and he declares that he can steal anything, and he gets hired or forced into going and stealing this historical artifact on behalf of a kingdom. That's really all I can say, I think, without giving away too many things. It's good. You should read it. Give it a try. They're pretty thin. And those are the books that I read to my brother. One of the first books that I started reading for the year, I actually DNF'd. I hate DNFing books. And honestly, I haven't even taken it off my Goodreads yet because there's a chance that I might go back to it just because I hate DNFing books. But for the time being, I had such high hopes for this book. It seemed to have a high concept and the cover is gorgeous. Yeah, I had high hopes. And it was like every turn of the page, I was like, why am I reading this? I did not like the writing. All of the characters felt vaguely the same with nuances that they're kind of just annoying and not, I don't know. Have you read this book? What do you think? Should I give it another shot? This is a book where there are two kingdoms in the afterlife, basically, or the second life, who are kind of, to me, I see it as being like a heaven and a hell thing. Like there's like the heavenly kingdom and the hellish kingdom, and they're trying to tempt you or encourage you or, give you reasons why you should sign up to join their kingdom in the next life. So in your first life, you make the decision for where you're going to be for the rest of your, eternity, basically. And there's one girl, her name's Tenley. Both kingdoms just have their eyes fixed on her, and she's the one that they need. And I don't know, it sounds like it should be a really fun, good, interesting story, and I just could not get into it. In fact, I was like the opposite of getting into it. So the other first read of the year for me was Towers of Midnight, book 13 in the Wheel of Time. I have been slowly but surely reading through the Wheel of Time series, and when I say reading, I read the first couple of books, but I've actually been listening to them on audiobook, but I love having the physical copy here so that I can kind of keep track with the physical book. And I don't read it at the same time, but I like to see what the progress is. And I hate audiobooks. Hate is too strong a word. I strongly dislike audiobooks. I like to be the audiobook, but I hate having someone else create the world for me. I get so much more out of it when I do it for myself. And I'm not an auditory learner, so I don't do audiobooks very often. But this one is a slow enough pace. The Wheel of Time is a slow enough development that I don't feel like I'm missing things if I accidentally zone out for a sentence or two. I frankly decided that I wanted to read the series, but I was afraid that if I just read it and didn't listen to it, I would only read this for a whole year and no other books. And so I decided I would listen to this on audiobook and then read other books in the meantime. So that's what I'm doing. Finished this, and I am currently in A Memory of Light. I'm so excited to be so close to the end. The next book that I read, My Lady Jane, which is a super cute concept of inserting some fantasy into a historical setting and rewriting things with humor. So this is Lady Jane Grey, and I liked it. I went into it there was a lot of hype around it. I don't know if I should say it doesn't deserve all of the hype. I think it is good. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was just, I was expecting this to be one of those books that I just inhaled, like a really fluffy, funny, fast-paced, just, whoa, I'm already done, even though it's a pretty big book. And that's not how it was for me. It took me a while to get through. I thought it was a really good concept, and I couldn't necessarily pinpoint one thing that was, if this had been better, I would have liked it better. It was more just maybe too much. I think maybe it could have stood to be a shorter book. I don't know. It just didn't keep my interest engrossed the whole time. But I did like it, and I do highly recommend it. And for people who like humor and history and, even just YA and love stories and stuff, I think that you would probably get into this even a whole lot more than me. The next book I read, I really shouldn't have because I was already trying to finish like 7 books at the same time and I was so busy. But I saw that in my upcoming Owl Crate there was going to be a Daughter of Smoke and Bone item, and I've been meaning to read this for a while and I hadn't, and I kept seeing it sitting on my shelf, and one day I just kind of plucked it off the shelf and started reading it, even though I had so many other things to read, and I ended up finishing it, and I did enjoy it. I didn't really know what to expect from it. Even though I've seen it around a lot, I didn't know a lot about the story. I enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to picking up the next book, although I don't know when it's going to be because I, again, have so many books to finish right now. My favorite book that I've read in the past 2 months that was not a reread has to be Thunderhead. Oh my goodness. I love this series. So I'm not going to tell you too much about what Thunderhead itself is about because it's the sequel to Scythe, and explaining sequels is kind of hard because spoilers, and I'm super excited that I see so many booktubers now bringing up Thunderhead and Scythe now, and people are looking into it, and I feel like the hype is starting to build around the series a little bit more now that I didn't see over Scythe. Maybe it was over Scythe and I just didn't see it, but I didn't see it, and I see it now, and I'm super excited about that. How many times can I say super excited? So that was my reading for January and February 2018. I got way more books done. Like, I don't think I read any books full, like cover to cover in January, except for Oathbringer and such that I read to my brother. If you want to chat with me in the comments, I would love to talk to you about these books, or what were you reading? What was your favorite read, or what was your first read of the year? Subscribe, like, comment, whatever. Let's engage. Thanks for showing up, and ciao for now. Bye.
You see me, you see me, you see me, now you don't, now you see me.
Okay, it's still really exposed. This is my brother, he is the best. Please don't kill me. He's the best even when he's killing me. This is love.